So one of the ways, again, that we can start this is by multiplying the two binomials. Simplify after you multiply what's inside. And then you can go and distribute the 3. So multiply the 3 through. Bless you. So when you multiply the 3 through, you would get your final answer. So the multiplying that we're doing today might involve having to multiply a couple of times, but just take it one step at a time. So start with the binomials, and then after you do those two, distribute the monomial. The other way that you could possibly do it, some people like to distribute the 3 first, but the reason I would say don't is because a lot of people make a mistake when they distribute the 3. If you're going to distribute the 3 first, you only do it to the first parentheses, not both. And that's where some people make a mistake. So I would just go ahead and multiply your polynomials first and save the monomial for the end so you don't make that mistake. Okay? But that's really the big difference today, is we're just going to be doing these multiplying, but we're going to have a little bit more than just once. Okay, so if we look at this next one, do you notice anything special between the two binomials? They're the same? They're almost the same. What's the only difference? One's plus and one's minus. When that happens, let's multiply this out because there's something special that happens. So we can FOIL it the same way we've done it before. 2x and 2x is 4x squared. 2x and negative 3, negative 6x. 3 and 2x is plus 6x. 3 and negative 3 is minus 9. What happens when we combine our like terms? They add up to 0. So we get 4x squared minus 9. Whenever your parentheses have everything that matches exactly, but one's a plus and one's a minus, you're pretty much going to get this middle term to add up to 0. And we're going to talk about this special kind on Friday, actually. And we'll do a little bit more with this kind right here. But you're going to have some of those, so you might end up with a lot of answers tonight that have binomials as your answer, and that's okay. So the next one we have 3x minus 5 in parentheses squared. First thing we want to do is write it out twice so that we can multiply it together. So 3x times 3x is 9x squared. 3x times negative 5, negative 15x. Negative 5 times 3x is negative 15x. And negative 5 times negative 5 is plus 25. Add together your like terms. And you're done. Okay, before we move on to the binomial and trinomial, how are we doing with these first 3? Because these are similar to what you did last night, with the exception of that first one had a monomial as well. So are there any questions before we move on to the binomial, trinomial ones? Okay. So then when we do a binomial and a trinomial, we're still going to distribute like we've done, except now the only thing that changes, when I go to multiply my 2x, how many things does it get multiplied to? It'll get multiplied to all 3 instead of just 2. So we're going to start by multiplying the 2x by all three of these. So 2x and 3x squared, 6x to the third. 2x times x, 2x squared. And 2x times negative 5, negative 10x. Then we go to the negative 7. Negative 7 times 3x squared, negative 21x squared. Negative 7 times x is negative 7x. And negative 7 times negative 5 plus 35. So now you have some like terms that you can combine. So 6x to the third didn't have anything to go with it, so we just copy it down. 2x squared, we have a negative 21x squared. Add those together, we get negative 19x squared. Then we have a negative 10x and a negative 7x. Negative 17x, and then our constant didn't have any like terms, so we just copy it down, and that would be your answer. So it's just taking that double distribute and just adding one more term in one of them that we need to multiply by. Okay. And one of the tricks, this is what a teacher that I used to work with did. So you know how we had Freddie yesterday? Freddie Foyle. If you connect your dots here, you have Cleo the clam. See, it looks like a little clam. Yeah. Again, just another kind of trick that if you wanted to make sure that you've hit everything, you can connect the dots of your lines and make a little clam. All right. So let's try this next one. Again, does it matter that the x minus 3 are binomials over here? Nope. We're going to go about it the same way. Now I am going to just show you a different way. See how here see how up here I just lined them all up? I'm going to still line them up, but I'm going to line them up differently, and you can decide which way you like better. It's just a different way to organize. I really don't care which method you use, whether you use the horizontal, or I'm going to do vertical over here. Okay, so x times 2x squared, 2x to the third, x times negative 3x, negative 3x squared, and x times 1 is x. When I go to do negative 3, I didn't leave myself much room. Negative 3 times 2x is negative 6x squared. So I'm going to line that up vertically underneath my x squared. Negative 3 times negative 3x, negative 9x. I line that up under my other x. And then lastly, negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. So to be able to do it vertically, you're just you write out your first one. Your second one, you just line it up under like terms so that you're just adding straight up and down. Yeah. It is positive 9x, thank you. Okay, so again, the only difference between these two is here, we listed them out just in one big straight line and then look for like terms. Some people like to line them up vertically so that they can just add straight up and down. So on this one, to finish it off, you can draw a big line and then just add vertically. Negative 3 and negative 6 is negative 9x squared. 1 plus 9 is 10x, and negative 3. Okay, so whether you choose to do horizontal or vertical, it's totally up to you. I know I personally switch it up depending on the space I have on my paper. If I have the space to do horizontal, I'll do horizontal. If I have the space to do vertical, I do vertical. So again, two different ways to organize your information. Okay, so any questions on the binomial, trinomial multiplying? Okay. Then our last two are what happens when we have three binomials being multiplied. How do we go about that? So a lot like the first one we did, where here we multiplied our two binomials first and then distributed, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to start with just multiplying two of them together. So it doesn't matter which two you pick, just pick two of them and multiply just two at a time. So anyone have a preference which two we do first? The first two? Okay, so we're going to multiply just the first two together. So x squared and x squared times negative 3, 1 times x, 1 times negative 3. And this x plus 2 just kind of tags along for right now. We're going to simplify in our parentheses. So x to the third minus 2x minus 3 and x plus 2. Yeah.
Why did the negative 3x on the top not have a 2?
Oh, it should have a 2. Thank you for catching that. So that means this step is not right. So we don't have any like terms here. Okay, thank you. Okay, so once we've got two of them multiplied, now we're going to go and multiply our binomial, our third one that we haven't touched yet, with whatever our answer was, or the product was, to the one we just multiplied. So x times x to the third, x times negative 3x squared, x times x, and x times negative 3. So this would be an example of where I look at my paper, I don't have room to do vertical, so I'm going to line this one up horizontally just because I don't have the space. Okay, so then I go to the 2. 2 times x to the third will give me 2x to the third. 2 times negative 3x squared, negative 6x squared. 2 times x plus 2x, and 2 times negative 3 minus 6. So I can add vertically to combine like terms. So x to the fourth minus x to the third minus 5x squared minus x minus 6. And that would be your final answer. So it's, again, same basic ideas as yesterday, where we're doing our double distributing. We just might have to do it a couple times, okay? Or we might have a binomial and a larger polynomial. Okay, if you don't have any questions, go ahead and start trying to multiply this one. I want to see how you guys do with this last one on your own. So again, just pick 2 to start with and go from there. think you have an answer, let me know and I'll write it up and we can see how we did. Anyone have an answer yet? Ryan?
1x cubed plus 6x squared plus 11x plus 6.
Okay, did anyone get something different?
I got the same.
You got the same? Anyone get something different?
I did, but I know it's wrong. So.
How do you know what's wrong?
Yeah.
What'd you get?
I got x not squared to the power 3 plus 6x 4 plus 11x plus 6.
So the only difference was this was an x to the 4th? Okay. Max, what was yours?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
You're not sure? Okay, so can I ask which two did you multiply first? The first two? Okay. So let's start with multiplying the first two. So we have x squared plus 2x plus x plus 2. Combine like terms. So we have x squared plus 3x plus 2 times x plus 3. Does that part match? Max, did that part match yours at all?
Kind of. I just didn't get that x plus 3.
Okay. Well, the x plus 3 is from the original problem still.
I don't know.
Okay, so then from there we take x times x squared, x times 3x, and x times 2, and then 3 times x squared, 3 times 3x, and 3 times 2. So we have an x to the 3rd. So remember, when we add, we don't change the variable or exponents. We just add the coefficients. So it should be 6x squared, and then 11x plus 6.